You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of In Space. I'm your host, as always, Chris Connor. Solo dolo today for this episode. I do have Pierre with me. For those that are listening strictly audio here, when I say Pierre, you know I'm talking about the Pelicans hat. Every time this team get a win and I get a chance to record, recap or not, I'm going to bring fam up here. This hat has become a luxury, and hopefully I can get 40, 35, 30. A lot more chances to bring the hat up here. But got to start off this show before we get into the topic at hand. Wishing all you guys happy holidays for those that celebrate. Hope you enjoyed the family time. I also know that this time of year can be, maybe not so festive for those that may have lost a loved one recently or in previous years. My love, my support, my vibes go to all you guys, and as we wind down here and get ready to welcome in a new year. So shout out to y'all. With that being said, got to get into the topic. Pelicans injuries, a gift in disguise. In a lot of ways, I guess kind of self-explanatory. Recently, the Pelicans, after a 4-game losing streak that was preceded by a 7-game winning streak, they won back-to-back again after beating the Spurs and the Thunder. And, the spotlight, CJ McCollum dropped 40, which was great, through all the different criticism that he's been getting as of late, or, the microscope that's been on him since he landed in New Orleans, right, as a guy that's supposed to help be a part of taking his team to levels it is never seen. But it feels like the man of the hour, the person that's getting the largest amount of spotlight, the person that's getting the most love right now is Jaxson Hayes. And that's really what this show is kind of built around. Listen, at this point, by the time you listen to this, you know that Jaxson had a great performance, and he did it at the center position, which was, if you've been listening to me from the offseason and beyond, I felt like if this team was going to see Jaxson Hayes and he was going to be able to make his presence shown, it was going to have to come at the 5 due to the amount of 4s and 3s that this team has. And on top of Jaxson just providing you certain things when he's locked in that no other center can provide on this team. And in all honesty, Jaxson does things that maybe only 10 others in the league can do when he has things going. And mentally, he's locked in with himself and on the floor. But even Jackson's game, I felt like was a microcosm of what we've seen in so many different areas this year. So many times where you name them, it's been players having to step up in different roles due to injuries, whether it's in the starting lineup or outside. And those that have stood out, you don't see it without injuries. Sure, certain people like Trey Murphy was going to get his minutes. First game of the year, he had a really good game. That was going to happen. But injuries allow him to get into the starting lineup and do it in, just a different way, have different responsibilities. Herb Jones had a lot of hype coming into the year. But when guys go down, depending on the player, sometimes a guy that's standing in the corner or you want cutting back door is, he has the ball in his hands more. He's more of a playmaker. He's using that slashing ability with the basketball and off ball that makes him the player that you like offensively, even if that shot isn't falling. So, and the list goes on and on. Jose Alvarado coming off the bench. We've seen his ability to not just as a point guard being able to shoot, but he's also been starting. But you knew what you really had in Jose. The energy in that playoff run last year showed all of that. But guys like Dyson Daniels, top 10 pick, right? The talent, of course, is there. But at what point are you relying on a 19-year-old? Well, injuries happen. You have to give him big minutes in some spots. And even if it's, you expect him to struggle due to his age and being a rookie, some nights but he's had games where they don't win without him, similar to what we were talking about with Jaxson Hayes. You have Naji Marshall. We've seen, I mean, he's become like, it's not being talked about, but he's becoming, a leader on this team, and he's backing it up some nights with his play. And even similar to Herb, the three may not be falling. He's finding other ways to impact the game. Once again, Pierre just fell. But he's finding other ways to impact the game. Multiple games throughout the year. His energy, you don't win without. And it takes injuries for him to even be in the role that either he played himself into throughout a game or throughout a stretch, or was provided to him regardless. You name them. There's so many guys on this team that have given this team wins or gifted them something. Billy Hernangomez had a couple games like that. That's the making of a good team, right? And that helps you be in a spot the Pelicans are in now, depending on the Nuggets or the Suns game. I think they're tied for third in the Western Conference. Now, if the Grizzlies lost, they're actually second. And if the Nuggets lose, they're probably first. But you wouldn't be in a situation without all those other individuals ready to step up and not just asked to do the same thing every night. That speaks a lot about the depth that people argued about. But let's keep it real. End of the day, if you have future or if you have deep playoff aspirations for this team this year, next year, whenever, it's going to come down to the health of your main guys. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and CJ McCollum, and them playing together, getting those reps, getting that familiar, sets, spots, just that ultimate feeling chemistry that so many good teams eventually are able to figure out. And you can't do it if every time one person goes back, another person is out, or it's 5 games at a time. You're going to have to see a pretty decent stretch of those 3 at least getting an opportunity to figure out who they are together as a core. But in an 82-game season, you call on a lot of people to help you out. What I'm curious about, and what I want to hear from you guys in the comments, I was going to call y'all Space Gang. I'm just not feeling it. I don't think Space Gang is it. I gotta call like my viewers and people that pull up. I gotta figure out something else to call y'all, if it's anything at all. But shout out to y'all that keep supporting the show. But yeah, like what I'm curious about is in April, will we be talking about individuals that, or how many players will we be talking about that are playing meaningful minutes at that part, right? In April or late in the season, playoff rotation based off of some of these injuries that we've seen now. Will there be how many trades will be influenced, turned down, or agreed upon based off of what we're seeing now? We don't know what Jaxson Hayes' future was going to be. And it's been a conversation almost since he arrived in New Orleans, because again, we've seen these stretches of him being benched, having to get his mind right, giving some really good performances, and then at some point it just all falls apart again. And you've been doing the same kind of routine since he's landed. But it's hard to understate what he was able to give you in that Thunder game. And I don't know how sustainable it is. I don't want to overreact to one game. If it was at the power forward position, I think I'd be a little bit more skeptical. And with Jax, until you see the consistency, it's really hard to know what all, how long he can, you're not expecting 21 points every game, but even the way he's talking after the game, the Mike Cyprian style, shout out to coach, of him explaining his approach to defense and knowing his reads and knowing his coverages. That's what you really want to see from someone like him. The little things are the things that is going to make or break Jackson's career, because we know he's a one of one, or if he's not a one of one. We're talking about a top 10, top 5 athlete at his position in the league, and that could be being generous. So very curious to see where that goes, even if it matters. In a couple of days, when Larry comes back and Zion and eventually BI, we may not be talking about Jaxson Hayes, pretty much. But who knows? And with this team, there's so many there's other individuals you could point into that are still playing minutes that you would say, oh, didn't see that happening. Maybe Jack's that next guy. I don't know. But I will say, we've been having a lot of discussions about this team needing a rim protector and needing, ironically, somebody who's capable when he's at his best, when he's capable of doing a lot of the things that Jax can bring you. Just a matter of, can you count on it and can you depend on it for more than a few games at a time? It's going to be interesting to see. So you guys let me know some of the other gifts that you've seen or that come to mind when you think of injuries or any kind of adversity when it comes to this team to start the year. Once again, though, I got to give out some love to our sponsors here, DraftKings Sportsbook, of course, home of the 5 of the 150. Got to show some love to New York Life as always. And got to show love to our guys at Birdsall Law Firm. This podcast is sponsored by Birdsall Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Buku Media, located at 918 Porter Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know have been involved in an accident, and be sure to mention the good people at Buku Media sent you. All right, y'all. I'll probably have out a new show before the new year. New show, new year. That's a tag, whatever. Probably have out a new show at some point before the new year arrives. But as always, I got to keep telling y'all, I appreciate y'all. You were in space. You about to be out. But Naji, show us out.
In the building. I told you last time, get with us or get out of here, man.